In a Senate defense hearing, the discussion turned to a deeply important issue affecting service members. A senator highlighted new medical research showing that men and women in uniform face higher risks of developing certain cancers compared to civilians. He also raised concerns about brain injuries caused by repeated exposure to blasts, heavy artillery, and other violent conditions that can change the brain's structure in ways not yet fully understood.
Mr. Secretary, I was surprised to learn that medical research has discovered the probability that men and women who serve our nation develop certain cancers more prevalent among them than the general population. Are you aware of this?
That men and women in uniform may develop certain different cancers than civilians?
More frequent and the like?
I'm not familiar with the particular study that you're referring to, but I'd be interested to see it.
Also, I learned at the same time that brain injuries are particularly prevalent among some members of our military. And understanding the violence of that experience, it's not a surprise. But it does have long-term impact. Were you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Do you know why?
Well, decades of deployments to places where explosions, large and small, happen on the regular basis, and certain people are right next to small explosions on a regular basis or big explosions in one incident, or they have a duty MOS, like you're an artilleryman, where the constant thud of that alters the physical aspect of your brain in ways that we don't fully understand, but we know are caused by that service. So we're very aware of that.
Do you feel a special responsibility as Secretary of Defense representing these services and the men and women who are part of them to make sure that we get as quickly as we can to the bottom of this and figure out what we can do, if anything, to reduce the likelihood of additional cancers or brain injuries?
Senator, I served with a lot of men who were affected in a lot of ways by those types of symptoms, including symptoms that led to the taking of their own life.
Yes.
This is a deadly serious issue. We are committed to getting to the bottom of who it affects and why, and making sure we do right by it.
So let me tell you what I've done about it. As chairman of this subcommittee at one point in time, we have dramatically increased the medical research to protect the men and women in uniform. As we learn these things, we want to get to the bottom of it as quickly as possible. It is enough for me that they risk their lives for our country. We shouldn't make it a more dangerous situation, and we ought to understand what's going on in their minds and their bodies when they serve. And as a result of that, we have dramatically increased defense medical research. I think we owe it to the men and women in uniform. Your budget cuts two-thirds of that amount for defense health research. How can that be consistent with our mutual goal of making the military life a safer life for our men and women in uniform?
Well, Senator, I would take issue with your characterization that all two-thirds of that, whatever was reduced, is focused on the issues that you just spoke about, because those are issues that, as a secretary who's very close to these issues and knows people close to these issues, my team knows that's exactly the type of research that we would fund. But we did find lots of other research inside the Defense Department to the tens and millions, and in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars that was a boondoggle for the American people.
Why?
And
Why do you say,
proud to get
give me
rid
an
of it.
example of a boondoggle in medical research in
There are
defense
multiple. I mean, we're talking about some stuff I shouldn't say in public. You know, marbles in the rear ends of cats, tens of millions of dollars, things that don't have
like the
a connection to what you're talking about.
Is
So
this
I
like the
respect
350-year-old Social Security check that the president told us?
Senator, I respect completely the issue that you're speaking with, and this department couldn't be more sympathetic to that and ensure that it's funded. But the Defense Department has been a place where organizations, entities, and companies know they can get money almost unchecked to whether or not it actually applies to things that happen on the battlefield. That's what we worked very hard to find in ways that other secretaries have not.
Let me tell you,
This committee and others talk about waste, fraud, and abuse all the time. We have actually gone after waste, fraud, and abuse because every dollar that's we spent is a dollar we can pour into the war.
Eliminating two-thirds of the money for defense health research, put that next to the decision to cut NIH medical research by 40%. Does that make America great again for these military families? I don't think so. $45 million for a parade, for God's sake. Money should be put in defense medical research instead of wasted on some pomp and circumstance for the president. This is not consistent with what the men and women in uniform deserve.
The senator pressed the Secretary of Defense on whether he feels a responsibility to prioritize medical research that could reduce these risks and improve care for service members. The Secretary acknowledged the seriousness of the issue, noting his own experiences with colleagues who suffered long-term health effects, some tragically leading to suicide. He emphasized that the department is committed to funding meaningful research while cutting what he described as wasteful or unrelated projects that had previously consumed large sums of money. The senator, however, criticized proposed budget cuts that would reduce defense medical research by nearly 2/3. He argued that America owes it to military families to expand, not shrink, funding in this area, especially when compared to spending on parades or cuts to the National Institutes of Health. He stressed that service members already risk their lives and should not face even greater danger from preventable health consequences of their service. This exchange reflects a larger debate about how to balance cutting wasteful spending with ensuring that military families receive the medical research and support they deserve. It raises a critical question about national priorities and how the defense budget should reflect the sacrifices of those who serve. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to subscribe for more clear and balanced coverage of key issues in defense, policy, and government hearings.